She tells him, ooh, love, no one's ever gonna hurt you, love. I'm gonna give you all of my love. Nobody matters like you.
Hey guys, Mosa here, and today I'm bringing you my Week 15 NFL Power Rankings. Now, without further ado, let's get started. Now, let's kick it off with number 32, the Detroit Lions. 1-11-1. After coming off their first win of the season, they end up losing 38-10 to the Broncos. Now, the Lions will keep on losing. They will keep on losing. Maybe they get another win, but it's going to be very tragic for the Detroit Lions the rest of the way throughout the season, because honestly, their next game against the Cardinals, don't even expect them to even be in that game. That game is most likely going to be basically a death for the Detroit Lions, as I don't believe in them taking down the Arizona Cardinals. Now, moving on to the Jacksonville Jaguars at 2-11. The Jags losing to the Titans in Tennessee. Expected. This was expected. The Jaguars need to fire Urban Meyer. Urban Meyer is clearly not a good NFL head coach. He's an amazing college coach. Maybe he goes back to coaching college, but when it comes to the NFL, I think there's a little someone that knows that they're a terrible head coach in the NFL, and that's Nick Saban, who currently is one of the best college football coaches of all time. Basically, the Bill Belichick of college football. And maybe Urban Meyer will be the same if he returns to college football, although it may not be the same. Now, moving on to the New York Jets at 3-10, dropping 2 spots. Their loss to the Saints. Honestly, they're just not going to be a good football team. They may get the 3rd, the 2nd, or even the 4th overall pick in the NFL draft. But really, all you can hope is they build this team around Zach Wilson. Zach Wilson is clearly their quarterback. He's clearly a good quarterback, but just needs to be built around an offense. And you can't do that if you keep on basically drafting wide receivers, running backs. You got to start drafting offensive linemen to protect them, defenders to stop the others' offenses. You got to start building up that defense and offense. This guy, Robert Saleh, the head coach, is a defensive mastermind. I bet if he drafted some very good defensive players, or decent ones, he would be getting the Jets into a Super Bowl bound defense. Now, moving on to the Houston Texans, jumping up 1 spot, even though they lost to the Seattle Seahawks 33-13, they're 2-12. Now, why did they jump up a spot? Because the Jets are terrible, that's why. Honestly, if it wasn't for the Jets, they would stay where they were. But honestly, the Jets and the Texans are not really that far behind each other. They are the teams to get the 3rd, 2nd, or even 4th overall pick. Maybe even the 5th. But to be honest, I think the 1st and 2nd will be Detroit and Jacksonville. While New York, both New York teams, and the Houston Texans will be battling for that 3rd spot. And honestly, I'm saying battling because even if some of these teams are actually still in the count, the only 2 teams that are eliminated being the Jags and the Texans, and I believe the Lions as well. All of them have been eliminated. But honestly, you better say all these 9 lose teams are 100% out of the competition. Now, moving on to the New York Giants, 4-9, taking an L from the Los Angeles Chargers, which was expected. But their next game is against Dallas. Yeah, Dallas. You have to have a miracle for New York not to get eliminated from the playoffs now. Because honestly, there's no way. I think the Giants have already sealed their fate. They're not making the playoffs. And honestly, it's really in between Philadelphia, Washington, and Dallas to make the playoffs in the NFC East. And really, the Giants aren't even in competition anymore. It really isn't in their possibility, even if they beat the top team in the division. Now, on to the Chicago Bears, dropping 2 spots, 4-9, and lost to the Packers in Green Bay. Well, I'm just saying this. The Bears season is over. Start building that team for Justin Fields, because honestly, that is all you need to do from this point on. Matt Nagy, you're no longer head coach. find a head coach and a GM that will be great. And honestly, I don't think that anyone in the Chicago Bears front offense or the head coach, none of those guys should be coaching or even in the office of the Chicago Bears in 2022. Now, after jumping up one spot, we got the Atlanta Falcons, 6-7. Their win over the Panthers, honestly, it was impressive because honestly, I expected them to lose, but they didn't. Although their next game against San Francisco is going to be even tougher, so yeah, I don't see any way for the Atlanta Falcons to actually defeat the San Francisco 49ers. I will most likely believe that the Atlanta Falcons will somehow choke that game away and go down to 6-8. Because honestly, even though the Falcons can be a good team at points, this year's not one of those years. Now, moving on to the New Orleans Saints, jumping up one spot, 6-7 at the Jets. They take the win in New York. And, well, not in New York, in New Jersey, but you get the point. But their next game against Tampa, expect a bloodbath in New Orleans. Well, in Tampa, actually. Because, honestly, the New Orleans Saints aren't going to win. They're not even close to win. They're going to be destroyed by Tom Brady and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Now, on to the Philadelphia Eagles at 6-7, coming off a bye. They're headed to Washington. Well, not headed to Washington. Facing off against Washington at home. But, honestly, just like I said with the Giants, realistically, the Eagles shouldn't be in the matchup. It's mostly between Washington and Dallas. But they're technically still in, and I believe in the Eagles having a chance. As I said, a chance. That doesn't mean they're going to win. That doesn't mean they're going to go to the playoffs. I believe that the Philadelphia Eagles will most likely miss the playoffs, but will get very close to getting that, honestly, that playoff push they need. But it's not going to be good enough. Now, moving on to the Miami Dolphins, dropping off one spot, coming off of their bye, headed to, well, going home to face off against the New York Jets. Because honestly, I believe the Dolphins will take the win over the Jets. The Jets aren't that good. And honestly, really Miami has to deal with the team basically being what they were last year. The team that makes it to 10 wins but doesn't make the playoffs. That's what it'll come down to for Miami. They will not win the division. The Patriots or the Bills could win that division. But to be honest, I don't even see them heading into the playoffs at this point. Now, moving on to the Carolina Panthers, 6-7, dropping 2 spots after their loss to the Falcons. They're headed to Buffalo. And that's going to be, honestly, an upset for the Carolina Panthers. Because really, they're not going to win. The Bills will win this game. And if they drop this game, then the Patriots will win the division. That is facts. In my opinion, the Bills lose this game, the Patriots win the division. That's what it comes down to. Because honestly, the Bills need to start winning again. They can't lose anymore. If they want to catch up to New England, they got to start winning. And it starts here in Week 15 against the Carolina Panthers. Now moving on to the Seattle Seahawks, jumping up 3 spots. 5-8 defeated the Houston Texans, a team they were expected to beat. So I didn't really see this as a win for Seattle, as an expectation from Seattle. Realistically, the Houston Texans failed on many occasions, especially at the end of the game, and realistically, they could have won this game. They could have. But now Seattle heads off to LA to face off against the Rams. If the Rams lose this game after beating the Arizona Cardinals, then Seattle is back in the run. Because honestly, the only way I see Seattle winning not the division, but a playoff spot is if they win out. And I see that very hard for the Seattle Seahawks looking at their schedule. Now, moving on to the Cincinnati Bengals, dropping off 2 spots, 7-6, lost to the 49ers, headed to Denver. Realistically, the Cincinnati Bengals they even had the offensive rookie of the year if it wasn't for, of course, Mac Jones. Now, realistically, when it comes to the Bengals, oh my God, Joe Burrow needs to get more touchdowns. Joe Mixon needs to get more touchdowns, and so is Jamar Chase, T. Higgins. Everyone's got to start scoring because, to be honest, I'm going to say this, the Bengals are nothing if they don't start winning again. Realistically, they have to win out, most likely. But they're right there, right behind Cleveland, who's right behind Baltimore. They're right there. But all it takes is just a little push for the Bengals to make the playoffs. Now on to the Las Vegas Raiders, dropping 3 places. They're 6-7, and they got demolished by the Kansas City Chiefs, 48-9. Now, if I didn't think that the Chiefs, honestly, I would imagine that they win, but not like that. I think the Las Vegas Raiders could have and should have done a lot more than they did. Honestly, they should have done better. Even without Damon Arnett, even without Henry Ruggs, I believe for them to be a good football team. And honestly, they're one step closer to missing the playoffs. Now moving on to the Pittsburgh Steelers, dropping off 3 spots, 6-1. These guys lost to the Vikings because of Chase Claypool and nobody else. I don't care that it was Pat Freiermuth that dropped that game-winning touchdown, or basically game-tying touchdown. I don't remember, actually. I think it was a game-winning, or at least a game-tying. One of the two. But the point is, they lost because of Chase Claypool wasting time. Honestly, first, not giving the ball immediately to the official, and by celebrating for a first down when they had no timeouts. Honestly, Chase Claypool should take responsibility for losing that game. He hasn't, and I don't think he will, because he won't be taking blame on himself. He thinks he did everything right, but to be honest, no, you did not. You decided to honestly be the guy who wasted your team's effort to win. And honestly, it should be into every Steelers fan that this loss, not every loss, this loss was because of Chase Claypool. Now, most likely Steelers fans don't like this team now, but you shouldn't like your wide receiver more. And that is the Minnesota Vikings going up, actually, 2 spots, 6-7, taking the win against the Pittsburgh Steelers on Thursday Night Football. They're headed to Chicago. They should win. They go 7-7. There will be 7-7. And if the Bears win that game, then the win against Pittsburgh was all for naught. Because, to be honest, I believe Pittsburgh to be a great football team, but not that great. Honestly, the Pittsburgh Steelers are a playoff team in my opinion. Yes, they are. But, are they a playoff team in the division title? No, they're not. That's going to be Cleveland, Baltimore, or Cincinnati. I don't expect them to win the division, but Minnesota, you got a lot to work for because you're not winning the division. That crown basically already belongs to Green Bay after they win next week. Now, on to the Cleveland Browns, jumping up 5 spots, 7-6, taking the win at home against the Baltimore Ravens. Honestly, very close game, but Baltimore came out with the loss, and honestly, they're going to pay for it because Cleveland is right behind them. Right there on their butts. And to be honest, if they win against the Raiders, there's a big chance that Cleveland then jumps up to number 1. That is honestly going to be scary for every Baltimore Ravens fan, seeing the Browns be the number 1 team in the AFC North. And to be honest, well deserved. Now jumping 1 spot is the Washington football team, 6-7. They took an L from Dallas. They took an L. But against the Eagles, this is an easy win. It should be. But to be honest, knowing how the Washington football team can do, they could choke this game away. Yes, they could have choked so many games away. They beat Tom Brady. They beat Cam Newton. They beat Russell Wilson. But honestly, that doesn't honestly say anything about Washington beating those quarterbacks. Because now you're facing off against Dallas and you lost. Now you're facing off against Philadelphia. Honestly, I hope for a Washington win if I was a Washington football team fan. Now, on to the Denver Broncos jumping up 3 spots after going 7-6 and beating the Detroit Lions at home. Yes, now they go up against the Bengals. That's going to be a tough game. But it's winnable. It's winnable knowing how Cincinnati is right now. But honestly, it's Denver as well. It's 50-50. Denver hasn't been doing that well this season. Even though they got a positive record, that doesn't mean anything. You could have a positive record and still miss the playoffs. And that's most likely what will happen to Denver if they don't get their act together. I believe they are the team, either them or the Raiders. I think it is them that is right behind the Kansas City Chiefs for the number 1 spot. I believe it's either them or actually, no, it's not even the Raiders. It's the Chargers. It's the Chargers. And realistically, it's in between the Chargers and the Chiefs for the division. You guys are fighting for that playoff spot in the 7th seed. And you have to win against Cincinnati to keep it up. Now, honestly, we go on to Baltimore. Dropping 1 spot, 8-5. Took an L from Cleveland. Headed to Green Bay. Well, not headed to Green Bay. Green Bay's headed to them in Baltimore. But realistically, does it really matter? Whether it be Green Bay headed to Lambeau Field taking on the Baltimore Ravens at home, or the Ravens headed to M&T Bank Stadium and taking on the Packers at their home. It doesn't really matter, as Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers, regardless of the fact, will take a win over these guys and will most likely be and is the number 1 team in the National Football League in, honestly, the playoff spots, not in this power rankings. Now, honestly, the Ravens are a good team, but right now, they ain't looking too good. Now, on to the San Francisco 49ers. And the 49ers jump up 1 spot, 7-6, took a win over Cincinnati in Cincinnati. Now they get an easy game against the Falcons. Realistically, San Francisco will make the playoffs. So will Los Angeles and Arizona. Seattle is the one who's going to miss it. Why? Because they got tough games coming up. And I don't think that the Seattle Seahawks will make the playoffs. And this will be the first season that Russell Wilson will have a losing record with Seattle. Hopefully he doesn't leave. Hopefully he doesn't. But to be honest, I wouldn't be like that surprised if he left. Because honestly, Seattle has not done him well. And even if they paid him, I don't care. You don't give him an offensive line, he's going to get killed back there. Just like he killed his finger against the Rams on Thursday Night Football weeks ago. And that is why Seattle also started losing. Because guess what? They didn't have their franchise quarterback. Even though Geno Smith was doing incredible in his absence, that didn't change anything. Honestly, I still believe the Seattle Seahawks that missed the playoffs and waste Russell Wilson's season once again. Now, moving on to the Indianapolis Colts at 7-6, coming off a bye and headed home to face the New England Patriots. Well, the Patriots, they're going to whoop Indianapolis. I don't expect Indianapolis to survive against Mac Jones and the New England Patriots. I believe Mac Jones and the New England Patriots will easily hand them a loss. And honestly, it's going to come in quick and easy for the New England Patriots, getting their 10th win of the season. Now, on to the Tennessee Titans, dropping off 2 spots, 9-4, and they took a win over the Jags. And the Jags defense was just not there, while the Titans defense was. Now they're headed to Pittsburgh, and they got the Steelers. Now, if the Steelers don't do what they did against the Minnesota Vikings, these guys win. But if they continue to do stupid things like celebrate after getting a first down with no timeouts, Well, I'm going to tell you this first off. If Pittsburgh does anything to sabotage this game, they don't deserve the playoffs. While Tennessee will cruise right in as a division champion. Now, on to the LA Chargers. 8-5 took a win over the Giants. Take on the Chiefs on Thursday Night Football. If this game doesn't end up being a Chargers win, then the Chargers are done for. Straight up. Because honestly, I don't believe that the Chargers, with this offense and this defense, could take down the Kansas City Chiefs. The Chiefs will make it a game. And honestly, it'll come down to the wire for who will most likely take this division. Now, on to the Dallas Cowboys, jumping up 2 spots, 9-4. They won against the Washington football team. Now they'll get another easy win against the New York Giants. And both on the road. They went to Washington. Now they're headed to MetLife in New York. Well, not New York, in New Jersey, but still, you get the point. But the fact is, the LA Chargers, the Dallas Cowboys, should be able to win this game easily. There's no doubt about it. They should win, and they will win. Now, on to the Buffalo Bills, dropping off 1 spot, 7-6, and they lost to the Buccaneers. Well, you have your chance against Carolina. You better not, honestly, throw this win out to the trash, because if you do, well, New England will most likely win that division. Because if I'm not mistaken, they sweeped you. I'm not sure about that, but I believe they did sweep you, meaning that they got the advantage over you. If you lose and they win, that's over. It's over. And you will lose the division to the New England Patriots once again after winning it last year. Now, LA, you're playing how you're supposed to. Going up 1 spot, the LA Rams, 9-4, winning against the Arizona Cardinals on Monday Night Football. And guess what? They face off against my Seattle Seahawks. And if you do not win against my Seattle Seahawks, you do not deserve the playoffs, just like the Seattle Seahawks don't deserve it. After the way they've been playing and the season's been going, they should be in the trash this season. Same goes for you if you lose to the Seattle Seahawks. Because honestly, Russell Wilson isn't bad, but that defense is. And realistically, you should torch that defense all day long. Now, starting up the top 5, we got the New England Patriots, 9-4, coming off a bye and taking on the Colts. Realistically, I'm just saying this, the Patriots have this in the bag. They're the number 5 team in the National Football League, in my opinion. And to be honest, they'll continue to be so. And honestly, they will win this division. And Buffalo will be crying the fact that they got beat by their arch enemy for the division title after winning it and then winning a playoff game in many years. And I believe it was in the 90s you last won a playoff game. You won it now. Now, honestly, you got to stick to it. You got to stick to winning. But guess what? New England, they're continuing to win. So I expect the Patriots, the number 5 team, to continue their win streak and win this division. Now, on to the Kansas City Chiefs, 9-4. They took a win from the Raiders at LA. Honestly, it should really be a win. On Thursday Night Football, this should be a win. If it isn't, well, wow. Realistically, wow. But honestly, I think that the Chiefs have this division in the bag. Honestly, their only rival to this division is the Los Angeles Chargers. And if they beat them here, that's all she wrote for LA for that division title. Now, starting off the top 3 teams in the NFL, the Arizona Cardinals, after dropping off 2 spots from number 1, 10-3, took an L from the Rams on Sunday Night Football. You're given an easy game, Arizona. You're given an easy game. Easy win to go to 11 wins. If you lose to the Lions, you'll be the laughingstock of the NFL. Yes, they already beat the Vikings. Yes, they tied with the Steelers. But you're the Cardinals. You are one of the best teams in the National Football League. The 3rd seed in the NFC. If you lose to them, even though you'll most likely win the division, realistically, I don't expect you to even make it to the Super Bowl. Honestly, not even to the NFC Championship game, if that's the case. Now, on to the number 2 team, going up one spot, the Green Bay Packers. 10-3, took down the Bears, and will take down the Ravens. If they don't, well, honestly, there's not much to say about Green Bay. They've been doing pretty well. And honestly, that defense is the only thing that will honestly take the win away from Green Bay, because realistically, 30 points? Really? Did the Bears put up 30 points against you? That shouldn't have happened. And honestly, it most likely will happen again against the Ravens, and you're probably going to have to score more than they score to actually win this game, because offense is going to win the game this upcoming, I believe it's Sunday night, I don't remember, but the fact is, this game is going to be one to watch. Now, the number 1 team in the National Football League, going up one spot, we got the defeater of the Buffalo Bills, and the ones who will defeat the New Orleans Saints next week. Well, guess what? I'm just saying this straight up. Not only is this team going to actually beat the New Orleans Saints, because it's going to be very easy. They're the reigning, defending, undisputed Super Bowl champions of the world, led by Tom Brady, and that's the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Realistically, Brady and the Bucs have done everything possible to be the best, and honestly, they will continue to be the best after they take down the New Orleans Saints, because I don't see it going out any other ways. Now, that was it for this video. Tell me what you guys think in the comments below. Tweet me any video ideas. Also, tell me down in the comments below, who do you think will win? Who do you think will lose? Tell me down in the comments below. And also, tell me who is your favorite team. Now, like this video if you liked it. Subscribe and hit the notification if you want more videos. And I'll see you guys next time.